guys, Bob Black here, Bob on Bass. Thanks for joining me on my channel today. A lot of folks had asked me about the intro that you just heard and what bass I used on that. And that's this bass right here. This is a Nate Mendel signature precision bass, which is a copy of 1971 P bass. And I'm going to tell you exactly what I like and what I don't like about the bass. It's a good sounding bass, a very good sounding bass. As a matter of fact, I did a gig about a while ago, and it was with a band that does a lot of disco, Motown, that kind of thing. And the keyboard player, who's also an excellent bass player, said it was the best sounding P bass he'd ever heard. So yeah, it's a really nice P bass. I'll go over some specs with you. Like I said, it's the Nate Mendel signature P bass. It's part of the Road Worn series, and you probably can't hardly even tell from there. It's very light. There's a few specks here and there, a few scratches. Some of them I put in myself. And one of the things I like about it is it's got a nitrocellulose lacquer finish, which is really, I like the sound of a nitro finish bass. The only thing is, they're a lot less durable than the other kind of, whatever you call it, poly finish that they use. So it's more susceptible to scratches and dings and stuff like that, but that's okay. It's got the Seymour Duncan quarter pounder pickup. It's a very punchy pickup. It's got a Fender's copy of a badass bridge. Let's see what else. It's got the standard open Fender tuning gears, which work fine. I read some reports on it. They said they had a lot of problems with those. No problem with that whatsoever. It's got strap locks. It's an ash body. The radius of the neck is 7.25, so it's a little bit rounded. It's not a flat neck. What else? The nut is 1.615, okay? So it's a little wider than a jazz bass, but not a lot. Personally, I prefer a wider neck on a P bass. I believe a lot of the sound comes from the neck, but you know, it's got a maple neck with a rosewood fingerboard, and a couple of things that I really like about it. It has a really nice sound. I'll play a little bit. This is kind of the sound that I usually play with. It's like maybe 50% on the treble. Okay, so. And for slap. Slap sound on a P bass. Most people, you normally would think of more with the jazz bass style for slap, but I really like the old school slap sound. You know, it's got a nice slap sound. Okay, so and that's with the you know, the tone maybe 50%. Thing about a P bass is, well, it was a long time ago. I remember I was on my way home from a gig, and I stopped in to see this local cover band playing, and I went in, and the sound of the bass was just extraordinarily good. It was just so good. I mean, it just hit you right here. I don't know how to explain it any more than that. And the guy that was playing in the band was playing a P bass. And during a break, I went up to the guy and said, "Man, that is just such a great bass sound." And he was like, "Really?" And he asked me, he said, "Would you mind sitting in and playing a tune? And because I'd like to go out front and listen." And I said, "Yeah, okay." So when they went back up, I went and played a tune. And on stage, I mean, it wasn't impressive at all. It didn't sound like any, it just sounded like so-so. But out front, it was just absolutely killer. And he came back and he said, man, he said, I never would have thought that it sounded like that out front. But yeah, that's the power of the P-bass. Couple things I do not, well, let me put the treble all the way up so you can hear what that sounds like. Okay, all the way down, more of that Motown. A couple of things I really don't like about the bass. One really big thing. Now, I realize that they're trying to make the instrument as close to a 71 as they can, and they've done a great job at that. Unfortunately, the way you adjust the truss rod here is by taking the neck off, and it's a royal pain. Now what I've found, and now this bass is made in Mexico, and what I have found, now your experience may be different, but what I found is that the necks are not as stable on the Mexican basses. That's been my experience. Like I said, yours might be different. But I have right now I've got a Fender jazz bass, American jazz bass, that I've had for, this one I've had for like 5 years. And I think in 5 years I had to tweak the neck once or twice, and it was just a little tiny tweak on the truss rod, which you have a tool for that. You just slip it in and click, click, it's done. This one, I've had this for, I'd say, 1.5 years, and I've probably had to adjust the truss rod 5 or 6 times. And that involves loosening the strings, unbolt the neck, give it a turn, hope that was right, put it back on, and it's just a royal pain. I mean, a royal pain. So I wish Fender would do something about that. Just a simple either adjustment here or some kind of a wheel or something. I understand it wouldn't be period correct, but that's okay. And the price of the bass is good. I mean, it's under $1,000. Okay, for a really good sounding P bass, I think that's a good deal. Another thing that I don't like, but it's a minor issue, is they've got the neck lacquered. Okay, so when you're doing an outdoor gig and you start to sweat, it gets pretty sticky. Now, some sandpaper, light sandpaper, maybe some light steel wool, probably take care of that, no problem. But that's a bit of an issue. The gig bag that comes with this is absolute garbage. You might as well just throw it out. The only thing it's probably good for is keeping dust off it. If you're just going to store the bass and you don't want it to get dusty, it's probably okay for that. But other than that, really nice sounding bass. I would recommend this. The fretwork is good. It plays good. It sounds really good. Yeah. So anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this little review of my Fender Mendel precision bass, and please don't forget to hit like and subscribe. When you give me a thumbs up, it really helps me to keep the channel going so I can come up with more videos like this for you. And appreciate you watching. We'll see you again next time.